Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video on the PowerDrift channel, and today we are driving a car that's not new. Yes, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the car that we've all seen on the roads for years and years. It is the Volkswagen Polo, and in particular the GT TSI. And yes, it's now been in the market for so long that it is prime meme material too. So let's tackle that first. Is it even still relevant? Allow me to jump straight in. The older Polo GT TSI was the 1.2 litre 4-cylinder engine that we all knew and loved, and of course it was mated to a DSG gearbox. This one is a 1 litre 3-cylinder engine and is now mated to a torque converter. Now, Volkswagen Group, the godfathers of the dual clutch gearbox, have moved away from a technology that they actually perfected year in and year out, and have moved to an older technology like the torque converter. Why is that? Well, the DSG gearbox, as great as it is meant slightly for more sort of fluid traffic patterns, and the DSG gearbox also has to be driven in a certain way. It does not like somebody pulling up to a traffic stop or a standstill or in start and stop traffic, leaving it in drive mode and sitting on the brakes. It hates that. Things do get hot and heated, and the gearbox do tend to get overheated, and in general they were failing, and rather expensively. It was not a cheap fix. This one though is, well, a literal bulletproof piece of technology that just doesn't seem to give up. Torque converters have been around for ages and ages, and they can take a lot more abuse than dual clutch gearboxes. It's a fact. And that brings us to the Indian driving pattern, with the amount of traffic we have, and with the fact that a lot of the buyers for a Polo GT TSI were first-time buyers of for little hatchbacks or cars in general, and they didn't really know the correct driving etiquette for an automatic gearbox. It did tend to sort of bomb on them. Now, while the gearbox isn't really to blame for that, as there have been countless instances of these doing way over 1 lakh kilometers without any issues at all, isn't it just better to get a more reliable piece of machinery? Every car engine undergoes a lot of stress in city driving, particularly during warm-up and stop-start conditions, whether it is due to traffic conditions or short trips. Ordinary car oils may not be enough to protect your car engine, and that is why we recommend fully synthetic Castrol Magnatec stop-start for non-stop protection. Now, apart from that, the interior, well, it gives you whatever you really want from a little hatchback. You want Apple CarPlay, you've got that. You've got a lovely touchscreen, which in fact is one of the crispest, nicest looking touchscreens in this sort of price range. You've got analog instrument clusters, which of course are from many years ago, but they do their job really well. Again, really crisp. I must say the GT TSI has been slowly and surely improved over the years, and one of the things that's been improved drastically over the last couple of generations of the GT TSI, or the last couple of years of the GT TSI, is this seat fabric. Now, if you are a GTI buff or a Volkswagen buff, you will know what the plaid fabric means to VW Group. It's what the GTI, the Golf GTI across many years, and the Polo GTI, of course, has been using. Its cloth, it's something that's a little traditional instead of having leather, and it is cool. Yes, you can get cool seats in an i20. These seats are cooler because they look cooler. Not really cooler in terms of having your butt cool down a little bit more. In terms of just looking cool, I mean, look at them. They look like GTI seats. Now, let me quickly touch upon the facts and figures, because if you are buying a car as an enthusiast, bragging rights are very important, and this gives you all the bragging rights in the world that you need. Well, almost. 110 horsepower from a 1 litre engine, 175 Newton meters of torque. Does come in a little bit later in the rev range, but that engine still feels responsive. And honestly, put your foot down and it pulls really well. I mean, there's almost negligible turbo lag if you're in the right gear at the right time. I prefer it just to drive it in sport mode all the time because it's just more responsive. But if you're just cruising in the city, especially in traffic, and just want to have a lazy sort of commute, pop it in drive, and it just does the job so well. It is a smooth gearbox. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't even intend to make this video in the first place, and in fact, we're just about passing our offices right there on the left. But I thought, well, it's a Friday, not much work in the office to be done today. How about we just go for a drive instead? Now, one of the advantages that the Polo has always had, apart from being great fun in a straight line, is the fact that it is one of the best handling cars in its segment. Now, remember, it's been 11 years and that handling prowess has pretty much stayed exactly the same. In fact, it's been bettered with the fact that it now gets 16-inch wheels, slightly wider tires, so it handles a little bit nicer. That said, 11 years ago it did have some benchmarks. It had the original Swift, for example, great handling package. The original Punto, another phenomenally well handling car.
And then there is the Hyundai i20. Now, in the standard form, it is nowhere near as good a handler as the Polo is. But then, you do have the new i20 N-Line now. And yes, we know that you want to see a head-to-head video. And trust me when I say this, what we have in mind for you will blow your brains. So wait for it, it is worth it.
Oh man, there are certain cars that just bring out the absolute hooligan in us, and the Polo is just one of those cars. Now look, I know there are cars in this segment that offer better tech for the same amount of money. There are cars in this segment that offer more space in the same amount of money, and there are cars that offer a better overall package in the same amount of money. But as an enthusiast, this is probably the best package you can have for your money at that kind of price point. There is no denying the fact that this thing, after 11 years, still kicks ass. Now look, visually, yes, there have been some updates. It still looks similar to what it did 11 years ago, but now of course you do get the GTI bumpers as standard. You do get the 16-inch wheels, the grey ones. And I know that visual stuff or design in general is subjective, but look at it, it still looks great, especially in this shade of red. I think it looks smashing. Now, is it the best looking car in its segment? Probably not, but of course, as I mentioned, looks are subjective. Now, I'm not gonna stand around here and talk more about the car because I've already spoken all I have to. It is a fantastic enthusiast package. If you're looking for something to drive on your own, for some reason the Polo still makes sense. It's insane. Now look, there are things missing from the car, like a reverse camera, for example. It's stuff that you need in an 11 lakh rupee or 10 lakh rupee car today in 2021, but still it makes up for all that stuff that's missing by making your massive grin even bigger. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drive down that hill as fast as I can now and just ensure that I have a whole bunch of fun. As always, thank you so much for watching PowerDrift, and I'll see you in the next video.